Today, we will at last be talking about the Elder Scrolls Online. For almost a year now, I've been making videos every Monday talking about something that I like, an item that I own, a game that I like, and this one has been on the list since the beginning. This game means the most out of any of them, and that's why it's taken me this long to get to it, because every time I get around to my notes and I look at it, I go, it's not ready, I can do more, I can do better. Nothing has changed. I've just finally decided to pull the trigger on it. It will be the best that it will be. I don't think I will properly be able to describe everything about why I like this game, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to keep this recording not that long. We'll see. First, though, the Elder Scrolls. I started playing the Elder Scrolls 4 with Oblivion, and then Skyrim. You already saw it. But I don't even have original cover art for the game. I have the old GameStop, what they put on things back in the day. Yep, there's my copy of it. I knew of Morrowind. My older sister introduced me to Morrowind, and what I remember of it, I remember playing a little bit, and I mostly remember watching her, and I have a very clear memory of being sick with a fever in bed as a young child. I don't know what age I was, but she had come home from college and was playing it on her laptop. I think it must have been the Alienware laptop, but I do remember her playing Morrowind and showing me, and I was like, that was really cool. But I did not have a PC that I could play with at the time. I did not get into it. By the time I wound up playing an Elder Scrolls game, it was Oblivion. I really, really liked Oblivion. By the time I got an Xbox 360, got into it, it may have been after I'd moved out of the house for the first time when I turned 18. I don't remember exactly when I played it. I just remember playing a lot of it, so much of it. I have to think. I cannot think of another game that I 100% before this one. And this took a while. There was a lot of achievements in this game. It was really good. I really liked playing this. I played all the way through it multiple times. Many playthroughs. I put a lot of time into Oblivion. I really liked it. And then eventually, Skyrim would come out, right? We know Skyrim. It's still being released today, isn't it? On some new console, probably. I got Skyrim as a Christmas present. I remember this very specifically because the same sister that got me into this got me this as a Christmas present. And I remember that because it was a gigantic box, like a 20-inch cube, and then inside that was a smaller box, and a smaller box, and a smaller box, and it's just opening box after box and finding yet another box, and everyone's laughing, and it's a whole big family get-together for Christmas, and eventually it gets down to Skyrim, and it's like, yes! And boy, did I play a lot of Skyrim on multiple platforms. I don't know if I've ever all the way 100% it, but it's gotten to the point where playing it vanilla or the original version doesn't interest me as much. If I go, I'm ready to play some more Skyrim, I typically go to the PC and then I play it with mods and things like that so that there's more content and it's a bit more updated. It's a little fuzzy on the timeline for some of these things. Xbox 360 did not track dates specifically, so I don't know when I 100% this. I can just see my achievement list now. I don't know when I started playing this, except it was after Christmas when I got it. That's what I know. I do know a little bit more about this, though. I do know that in March of 2013, they opened up the beta. It was a closed beta, and I had heard about it before and went, yes, Elder Scrolls, and it's an MMO, I'm all in. I really like MMOs, haven't played one in a very long time. This is going to be awesome. March of 2013. I did have a computer at that point, and they opened it up, and I was in the beta. I was in the beta for this game. It was a closed beta, and they were very specific, and it was watermarked all over the screen. So if you took a screenshot, it was very specific whose account leaked that, because you were under an NDA to play that game. But I still wanted to tell people that I was playing the game. So I had Facebook 10 years ago in March of 2013, and I posted on Facebook about the NDA and went, how interesting. I remember doing that little thing. I didn't like the beta. It's an amazing, for where this video is going to go from here, we're going to talk about the rest of it. I did not like the beta. I didn't like the game. I went, this is kind of boring. There's nothing to it. I'd never played a beta before. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just went, but I didn't like it. I played it the one time, never heard about it again. I thought, well, that was an interesting, weekend. I played it for a couple of hours, didn't really care for it. I remember almost nothing about it. And honestly, when I come back to play it later, a couple years later, I didn't remember that I was in the beta for that. I thought it was just another random MMO that I was playing until I remembered, no, I was in the beta. I beta tested the Elder Scrolls Online and I sent them my feedback. I typed up a thing going, honestly, I lost interest in it. There's just nothing here to grasp onto. I don't like this. I didn't play it very much. I didn't enjoy it. I remember sending some kind of email that said, nah. And now, now I can remember all that and go, oh yeah, that was the Elder Scrolls Online. So I don't touch it for years at this point. October of 2016, the same sister that got me into Elder Scrolls in the beginning is playing the Elder Scrolls Online on the Xbox. It is released on Xbox at this point, and that's where she's playing it. And she's telling me about it going, this is an amazing game. You gotta try it. It's got all this stuff into it. She's playing it every day, constantly. October 30th, 2016, I get the game. I go to play the game. I think she probably stopped November 1st, 2016. We've played together for probably 3 hours. maybe a little bit longer than that. Maybe it's been 2 days worth of playing, so you got to talk about that's like a 4 or 5 hour game session each time. It's probably been less than 10 hours in total. For someone who was playing this constantly so much, she then immediately dropped off. But I didn't. I started playing this game and I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed this game. I start playing through it. The story is captivating. I'm really enjoying that. The mechanics are great. It's unlike another MMO that I've ever played. It's really, I sank my teeth into it and I've never let go. It's really important to the story is that I'm still playing it. Ignoring that first couple of years where I just didn't ever try it again. I never got into it. Once it came out on Xbox, and especially by the time I got into it, Tamriel Unlimited had come out. That's what this version is. And as a matter of fact, I have 2 of them because this is the game that I go, everyone needs to try it. I want more people to play with. It's great if you like Elder Scrolls. No, it's not Skyrim, but yes, it's amazing. So I own multiple copies of it to make sure that if I find someone and they're like, I've never tried it, I go, here you go. It's kind of irrelevant now. It's on Game Pass. I think it's constantly on Game Pass. I don't think it ever comes off, especially because Microsoft and Bethesda, the whole thing. So I don't really need 2 copies of it, but I have 2 copies of this game. And I've got one more physical item we'll talk about in a bit. But January 10th, 2017, a couple months after I started, I complete the main story. I can tell because of when I get an achievement. Thankfully, the Xbox One does track that data. So I have a record of when I started, when I got my first achievement, the first day playing, doing the prologue, and when I completed the main quest a couple months later. It's incredible. It's amazing. I'm going to boot it up here in a second. We're going to talk about it. But I do have one more item. I like it so much. Over the last few years, I bought this, the Tales of Tamriel book set. It is the Elder Scrolls Online lore book set. Book 1 and Book 2. It's really good. It's not a story so much. It kind of is. It pieces it together. But they flushed out so much. It's got beautiful illustrations. Let me put it main on camera. It's got really cool stories. It's Elder Scrolls. Have you played an Elder Scrolls game? If you have, then you know that there's like 1,000 books in each of them, and they go through, at least for all the games at this point, currently and today in the year 2023, I have a feeling the next one that comes out, all the book stuff, they might do AI. I hope they don't, because I have a feeling it won't be as good. But I actually sat down and read all of this. This kind of got me back into reading in general. I had fallen off of just regular reading books, and I made it a goal for myself to every night before I go to bed, read a couple of pages, try to get through, especially this one was a really good one because each one's really short. It's just telling a story about this guy. And now you're onto a new one. So each kind of title section, I'd either read a couple of these every night until I read through all of them. Fantastic. Man, this is really cool. The lore of Elder Scrolls, I definitely can't get into because that would be far too long and I don't fully understand it. I only went into Elder Scrolls Online more so than anything else. But let's actually talk about the game in the game. Yeah, it's on Game Pass. See, I think it will always be on Game Pass, Microsoft and Bethesda. Well, definitely. I highly doubt it's going anywhere. This is the Elder Scrolls Online. Currently in December of 2023, what the opening screen is. And then we'll log in here in a second. I'm just listening to the music at this point. I'll tell you, the music is so good in this game. I listened to it literally every night. It's my sleeping music, which sounds weird. I have some like a sleep mask with earbuds, Bluetooth earbuds, and I connect that to my phone. I put on a playlist that is 300 or 400 songs, every version that I can find, like everything that's on this streaming platform for music, that they put out, you know, each update, each DLC that they put out new music for it as well. All of it's fantastic. I have a playlist with everything there, and also going back to Oblivion and Skyrim. It's all there. Put it on a real low level, and I just fall asleep every single night. I actually saw every music platform streaming service has their year in review type situation, and I pulled it up and went, it's all Elder Scrolls music. This is my character. I named it because I named it. I've never been good at the name stuff, but that's where I currently am at this point in time. I also made this one more recently to go through some of the new DLC that they did. This was a mage. Again, I'm just naming characters kind of random. Huntera Gathera. Gathera? I don't remember how I was going to pronounce that. Haven't played this one in a while. You can see the levels are my current one. They're actually all... I'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, I haven't played that one. I made this one after a German tank. Dr. Lovin stuff was going to be my healer. This is when I started learning about... This is a little funny joke I made for myself. I started learning about HTML. If you know about HTML, this makes more sense, and you've played Legend of Zelda. To do a link in HTML, Legend of Zelda, it's called an href. So anyway, I'm humorous sometimes. I made some other characters. I'm all over the place here. I haven't done a whole bunch of character creation lately. I do have full slots. I come up with an idea or a theme, like that my Link character was going to be use a sword and shield. I haven't done too much with sword and shield. That's the beautiful part. There's so many things about this. It's hard to decide what to talk about first, honestly. I haven't played it in a bit. For full transparency, this is a game that I go on and off with. Currently, right now, I just typically log in. That's a guild I'm a part of. We'll cut that out. I haven't played it in a few months. Typically, I'm just logging in to collect the daily promotional items that they're giving you kind of situation. They give you an item, an encouragement to play every day. It's an MMO still. There's certain aspects to it that I'm not a fan of. The try to force someone to play every day is one of them, but it is a thing. They give me an item every day as long as I can remember to log in. I'm not currently playing this. I probably will get back into it soon, especially the last time I played it was earlier. It's been a few months now. I dropped into it for the newest DLC that they released. I played all the way through to that and then dropped off to start playing other things like Starfield more recently. And I just wrapped up Dark Souls like we talked about last week. Speaking of last week, I mentioned how I needed a specific controller to play this. Currently, I just have the normal Xbox controller, and it feels wrong. I'm just going to, like, right out from the gate, I'm just immediately, as soon as I touch it, it feels wrong because I've completely switched over to playing with the paddles. And I'll show you what I mean. You can see the face buttons there at the bottom of my screen as I set up my controller and get the paddles out because I haven't been playing with the paddles. I have my controller here that I've set up. We talked about it last week. This is the whole thing here, and I've put the paddles on it. And why have I put the paddles on it? Well, we're going to fast travel back home first because that's a free fast travel. There's a tip if you're just starting out. Get one of those homes so you can do a free fast travel to that and you're not paying any gold to get to one of the teleportation shrines. And then especially if you have one that's right next to a shrine, then you got an easy way to do it without having to pay anything. It's nice. That's an aspect of this game. You can have a house in this game and you can decorate it. And I like doing that. It's a little creative. It's something I can do. I've never put that much time into it. I actually pulled in one of my other sisters to do it one time. And I remember coming into the room and going, "You've put a tree in my house." And it was just grabbing and random. It was chaos. It was utter chaos. It was very fun. But I do have a full house. It's not fully decorated or anything, but I've got a big old mansion here. That's not the point. We don't need to go through that. But it's just a quick, easy teleportation. I forgot how slow the loading screens are back on the Xbox One X as opposed to the Series X, which is what I've been playing on for several years now. So, the controller. Why do I have to play with the paddles? Well, there's a thing in this game, especially when you get later on, that is called spell weaving. I had to remember the name of it. I go ahead and drink my potions here so I'm topped up and get ready for that. You can attack. Standard attack. This is just me pressing the right trigger as a standard attack. I send out a fireball because of the staff that I'm using. If I hold it down, I charge it up. And the mechanic in this game that I find really interesting, it works the same way with swords and bows as well. Charging an attack replenishes your... If I use a skill, do a fire breath there, you can see my magic on the left-hand side. Well, all right, I'm going to need to do something a little bit. I need to fight more than just a single monster. Let's go after something else. I can talk through it while we're going. It will recharge your, when you use a spell, it uses it. Stamina or magic. That's pretty standard for most video games, right? But to recharge it, yes, you can drink a potion, but you also can use a skill to hit. Let's see, where's the nearest world boss? There's one over here. I went through all that to get to the shrine, and I forgot to actually hit the shrine. This game is massive, and it only gets bigger with every update, which I find fantastic. So getting around the world is great. One of the things I don't like about it is that in order to max out your speed stat there, why I'm moving so quickly, is because you have to come in every day and buy a skill point in the horse riding and horse capacity and horse stamina. I'm not a fan of that either, because in order to max it out, it takes like 180 days or something like that, and that's a lot of playing. It's only there to convince people to keep coming through. I'm not a fan of the fact that you have to do that. Anyway, there's a lot of pluses and minuses to this game. Overall, very beneficial. So, as I was saying, spell weaving. Spell weaving is a thing in order to speed up the game. It's something that they introduced, as far as I understand it, as an accident, and people have latched onto it, and now they won't change it. They are making some changes to combat that a lot of people were unhappy about. Back when I used Reddit, it was all the subreddit was filled with, was people complaining about how they're ruining it, how it's changing, and that's when I discovered I don't need to be a part of this community anymore, and I left. We're going to fight this, which is a little bit tougher. It's got, you can see its health bar has some gold around the side of it. So as I'm using this, as I'm pressing the buttons, as I'm using different skills, you also swap to a different bar where I have a different weapon. As I'm doing this, my skills are draining. I can hit and charge it back up with a charged attack. That's good. But each spell, each attack that I do has a certain animation time. And what I started learning through research on the internet is that I wasn't doing very much DPS, damage per second. How did I increase the damage per second? I needed to do more damage out, right? And how do I do that? I do that by spell weaving. And spell weaving, you need to look up on your own if you're really interested in it. I know I'm not going to do a great explanation, but basically it's animation canceling. It's very finicky. It's something I really don't know how to do, and I haven't done in a while, so I'm very rusty on it. But it's pressing buttons at particular times, like charging up, and then while you're... no, it's not charging. Your charge attack is the other one. When you do an animation, the entire drawback of my weapon here, when I do a single attack, that can be canceled with another spell. Doing a poor job of explaining this, but basically you launch two spells back and forth. You do it very quickly, and then you cancel out the animation of another one, and that allows you to cast faster. You can do more damage. You can get more done. I've forgotten. I think it is the charge attack. Or is it the light attack? You want to cancel the animation of the light attack, I'm going to say. It's been a while. I need to refresh myself on this. Should have done that before I started recording. Anyway, I'm fighting a world boss. This is what I wanted to be able to do. Hold my own against something like this, which was not something I was able to do back in the day. That was always, I'd only be able to take on world bosses and do things like this with other people. Currently, I believe I'm by myself. I don't see anyone around. I don't even know if my companion is still alive because I'm covering that part of the screen with my camera. So I'm not entirely sure. But this is what we're doing. It takes a while. I'm not great at it. You can't kill them instantly because of their health. I'm also in a DLC area, which has higher and tougher bosses that are really meant to be done with multiple people. But I think I'm holding my own. And I think given the time I have to hit it, it's a little difficult to do while I'm talking. I've never had to do this before. Usually I just play by myself. But if I hit it with this stuff, let's see. Also, I'm curious what kind of changes they've made through. Anyway. The reason I'm doing it, what I started talking about this way, was because of the spell weaving. To do that and to hit things there, you see the buttons down at the bottom. X, Y, B, left bumper, and right bumper. Those are not custom. Those are set in the game. hitting the face buttons. You see what I've been doing this whole time. This entire thing is going off. All this stuff, I'm moving to stay out of the damage areas that will pop up on the ground, like that one right there. I don't want to be in that. That'll take damage. So you got to stay on top of that. You have to do that. You have to stay where your healer can hit you, because you are doing a dungeon when you have healers. I'm just on my own right now. There's a lot to the game. And so moving both thumbsticks is pretty helpful at all times. And if I'm going to press one of those face buttons, X, Y, or B, right bumper and left bumper aren't a problem, but right X, Y, and B, my face buttons, will require me to take my thumb off of the joystick, which means that I'm not turning, I'm not moving, I'm not playing the game. Here come the paddles. Somebody online, I don't remember, I was reading somewhere, was like, yeah, I really, I increased my DPS when I started getting into using the paddles on the Elite controller. And I went, oh, I could try that. And that started in, I want to say 2019 or 2021. Because I don't remember it. Well, you know what? It may have been in 2020 when I started doing that. I'm trying to remember the first time, because it was the only game I've ever used the paddles for. The paddles were cool, but I didn't have a reason to use them for anything. So even though I had the Elite controller, it must have been 2021 because of when I bought it. So I've now been doing it for 2 years. And so you're talking about, I started in 2016 playing off and on. It's always a game that it will always stay installed on my console. I'm always playing it. I'm not doing a good showing of this here, just to be fair. This is not an impressive boss fight. I'm pretty rusty since I haven't played it in a couple months, and I went straight into something here. I should have picked something a little bit better to demonstrate that I do know what I'm doing a bit. I'm still nowhere near. I mean, there are people who are really good at this game, and it's impressive to watch them. But there are damage calculators. If you go to your house, there are... I don't have to explain every little detail of the game. There's a way to see what your average DPS is, and that's what people are getting to try to. That's what you have to have it in order to do the end game content requires you to have certain DPS to be useful. You have to do it in a group of like 20 people, and they won't let you in if you can't prove that your DPS is high enough, so that you pull your own weight. And I wanted to do the end game stuff. I wanted to be able to do it. I had to improve myself. It was now a skill issue. I could not get through the game. I could not progress any further to that stuff. And I had to start training and learning how to do this. And I'm looking up guides, and I'm making sure I'm using some of the best equipment that I can get my hands on. And I'm trying to do that. And it's just me at this point. I can't press the buttons fast enough. I can't get the timing for the animation canceling down. And then I hear about the Elite and the bumpers, and I go, or the paddles. And I think that's a really good idea. I should try it. I have an Elite controller. I have the paddles. And I spend probably 2 or 3 months retraining myself from pressing the face buttons to pressing the 4 buttons on the back for the paddles. And I've got it mapped out. I can't show you at the same time. I can't do both cameras, unfortunately. Basically, the 4 paddles on the back are my 4 X, Y, B. I don't know if that's in that right order, but then one of them is also the skill bar swap, which traditionally would be on the D-pad. Yeah, that's a paddle. It's my top left paddle. I got better at the game. I went from doing like 30 to 40,000 FPS to just switching to paddles, learning the animation canceling bumped me up to probably 60 or 70,000. So I instantly doubled it, and I have some work to do. Since then I have not put the work in the way I want to. I'm working on it. I will get back to the game, and I'm going to do it. Right now I've been doing more story stuff and just having fun with it. I'm not trying to go really hard on it or anything, but if I want to do the end game content, if I want to do the toughest of the tough stuff, I've got to get better at it. And I do plan on doing that one day. I've dropped off recently. If you haven't noticed, I've been doing a whole lot of things with recording and wildlife and everything. But that was something that I went, oh, I'm now better at the game. I had to train myself. It took time, but I've really enjoyed that it took a game that I've already been playing for years at this point, and it unlocked something. I did a world boss just now while talking with you, not really paying attention. I kept myself alive, and I was able to dish out enough damage to kill a world boss. That was something I could only dream of when I started this game. And now they're not trivial. I still have to pay attention, and especially the ones that require mechanics. There are ones that really are meant for multiple people. But I just did it. I just did a world boss, and I'm proud of myself for being able to get to that point. It was a step in progression where I went from just playing the game to playing the game better. And that was really cool. That was exciting to do. That reinvigorated. But even with that, there is another aspect to the game that I'm not talking about yet. And it's difficult to get into because it's not something that very easily can I can't really describe it. This is really the main thing. Like, talking about the mechanics of the game is a whole thing. I can easily talk about that. I can talk about why I like the game. Let's travel. Let's see. If I zoom out, this is the whole game map. And you can see I've explored all of it. I haven't fully completed every map. That's another thing. There's so many aspects of this game. Collecting is a big part of it. Exploring is something. The quest lines are what I haven't talked about because they are incredible. I started in one of the factions. I mentioned before when I was holding up the game case on camera, the Tamriel Unlimited. The way the game used to work, the base game was these areas right here. We have this island, this bit here. You have a little bit up here, not Rothgar, and then some over here. Each one of these factions were disconnected. They were not connected in any way for the way that the lore of the game works. Each one of these was a different faction, and you would then duke it out here in the middle in Cyrodiil, which, if you've played Elder Scrolls, this is where Oblivion takes place. This is the PvP area, and it is insanely big. I'm getting sidetracked again. Tamriel Unlimited allowed the people to play anywhere. If you've ever played old school World of Warcraft or some of the other games, you would have to pick one and you were committed to it because you could not interact with players and characters from the other place. Tamriel Unlimited unlocked everything. So I can go anywhere in the game on my one character. I don't have to create a whole new character in a different faction in order to do that. The only place where that's not true is still inside this giant PvP area, which I'm not great at PvP. I started getting better, started looking up guides and things, which is another aspect why I really like the game, is just how diverse. Look at, okay, so here's the skills. Your class gets you a couple of things all the way through. You can see I only have points in some because these are the ones that are useful for the build that I'm currently doing, according to where I looked up online. Anything really is viable. Some are just better than others, but I really like that anything is viable because you can kind of do anything and still hold your own. You might not be topping out at the best DPS or anything, but you're going to do well. And some things are better for others, but realistically, you could create any character, any class, use any weapon, and be okay. And that's really cool. I really like that. Some stuff is better than others, but I like that flexibility. I played all the way through the game at first using a two-handed sword. I got almost, well, no, I'll take that back. I probably got halfway through the campaign using the two-handed sword before I looked up and went, oh, what about dual wielding and a bow, though, for my two weapons to swap in and out? So I swapped to that. And there was a period in time where I just kept trying new things, and thankfully it's easier to respec your character now, but back then I was earning, there was a period of about 2 months where every time I played, my goal was to just earn enough money to respec and try something different. I should have just been creating new characters, but I wasn't. You got your armor, and then there are skills for this. Some of them are maxed, some of them I still, like this requires me to lockpick, or picking locks and stealing and things like that. I haven't done a ton of that. I've almost maxed everything at this point. The crafting I put a lot of time into, getting to 50 on all of these, is something that is a very long and tiring process. Boring, and most people don't do it. And the ones who do, when it's an MMO, it's a huge online game, the ones who do, if you're in a guild, you can be labeled as a master crafter. I have that ability. I have not played with a guild long enough. Like, I haven't really been active socially enough to get to that point, but I could, because I have the ability to create just about anything. And I've even been expanding that to creating literally everything, because there are certain, another thing, I don't really care for it, but I understand why they do it. When you get to the point that you're doing this, there are certain aspects you can put onto, like, special skills, essentially, onto crafted items. And in order to unlock all of them, you have to go and deconstruct items that have that from someone else who's made it, or you get a base game. The game gives you one, and it's for, like, a two-handed sword, for example. So if I got that one, I could deconstruct that, and now I can make that aspect onto any two-handed sword that I'm creating. But what if I want to do a one-handed sword? What if I want to do this thing or that thing? I can get those from other players through the trading system, and then I can deconstruct those. But when you get to the point where I'm at, where you're unlocking the middle one, I go to unlock it, and it's like a 45 real day wait time to deconstruct it. And you can speed it up a little bit with certain items. It's not my favorite aspect of the game is the waiting, but I'm almost done doing all that. I've got a spreadsheet. I need to go back and look and see. I think I'm like 5 items away from literally being able to craft at the maximum level for everything. So I'm almost there. But I put a lot of time into this. I did max out my PvP, that's the Alliance War. Almost all, I'm still missing Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild, which are some fantastic quest lines. Oh, I could talk about all this. But anyway, the base game gets you, they've changed it from back in the day when I played early on and things like that. They have changed the way some of this stuff works. But currently, you play through the game and you get to level 50. And then the game starts you back at level 1, which does sound depressing. But it's starting you at champion level 1. You are still a level 50, and then you go through the champion levels. You can see my level down there in the bottom right-hand corner is 1186. That is a lot. It has taken me a very long time to get to this point. That is not the max. Every time I start getting close to it, they bump it up. I think the newest one is like 3600 or something like that. They just keep increasing it. I'm never going to hit it. I've accepted that, but I'm really proud of where I'm at. I do like being able to do that. And the champion points, each level up gives you a point. Look, I've got 49 in each 3 of the areas. I haven't been putting them in recently, but each one of these skill trees unlocks all of these new skills. They're not so much skills as they are like passive buffs. Like this one is granting you more critical chance. That one is doing more critical damage. I have a ton. That's just showing you the ones that are connected to it. This is doing more single target attacks, 3%. It's just damage increases, things like that. But they also unlock different things, the ability. Let me show you something else real quick. This was one of my favorite. This also reinvigorated the game for me. I made another character. I just basically browse websites, looking at builds, what other people have done, what they publish online, and going, ooh, maybe I could do that. Tweaking it slightly, but for the most part, I'm following what other people have done. They're the creative ones. I just like playing the game. Somebody came up with one at one point where you could go through this entire thing in order to make your character as fast as possible. Is that necessary to play the game? No. Does it actually hinder your ability to do a bunch of damage and successfully play the game? Yes, but you could make it really fast. And then you can travel around the world really quickly collecting resources. So if I'm ever short on some of the resources that I use for crafting, this is one of the ways that I go run around and grab them real quick, which is my character I mentioned before, the hunter-gatherer, who is a Khajiit Nightblade because of some of the skill. I think that was you had to do that in order to get some of the class skills. And I don't remember if I have to set up anything here. Yeah, you got to be a vampire so you can sneak really fast because that's how you get past all the monsters. Oh, I don't remember. It's been a long time since I did this one. You saw that one I haven't touched in a while because its champion points were only 900. But if I remember correctly, look, I'm really fast already. And I'm pretty sure you can sneak fast. And was there a skill involved as well? I think there was an item that I used on top of that, wasn't there? That's all PvP stuff. Longfin pastry with melon sauce. I don't remember if that had something to do with it or if it was something else. But anyway, being able to speed along the game, you can sprint, and I think there was a way to recharge your sprint as well, but while you're doing it, you should be able to, if I'm doing it correctly, which I'm clearly not. Anyway, it was a fun thing for me to set up and do, and it's something where I play on my main character, I figure out what it is I need to do. Why am I using a destruction staff? The two-handed sword, I assume, is what I should be doing. I thought I had a bow. I may have stuck this on there. All right, anyway. It was just something different. It was random. It didn't matter as much. It wasn't something that I necessarily needed to do. It doesn't really benefit me in all that many ways. I do use it to collect resources, but it was fun. It's something different. It's outside of the game. And I think I may have talked about it in the Maple Story video where I made, you have your traditional character, how you make them, and then just a few people just for fun came up with an idea where you could put all your skill points into hit points and just max out your health and then use a skill that bounces a portion of your health back towards them. So the bigger your health is, the more damage they would take. It didn't break the game, but it was another way to play it, and it was silly. but it was what I was reminded of that when I created this character who was speeding all over the place. It's really counterintuitive to the way you play the game, but it was a lot of fun to go through that and collect all the items that I would need to do this build on another character, then get that one, level it up to 50. That's what I'm currently working on. And the Arcanist is a new class that I've been enjoying so far. I think I was getting close to 25 there. I don't remember, but I need to get back to that. That's one of my goals, is to actually max that out. Oh, you know, you can go first person? Not many games allow you to do that. That's pretty cool. You can switch between first and third person views. I typically play on third person, but anyway. What else have I not talked about at this point, considering how big this game is? I haven't talked about how much time I put into it, and I don't know if I have a current counter. I'm nowhere near completing it. Like, we talked about the Dark Souls stuff and 100%ing it. I don't think this is ever realistically going to happen. I'm not very far at all, and some of these are bugged. I definitely have this one, and it has never unlocked. I definitely have this one, and it's never unlocked. Like, I've completed all those things and it's just never done it. I don't know what I can do about that. But if I go into the stats for the game, it should show me, if I get rid of my character. 60 days played. Hours played 998. That's not true. I don't know. Okay. So that's not currently working. I'll say that. It used to track them really weird as well. The way that it would track them, it would only track the character you were currently on. That was a weird thing that I never liked, because if I switched to a new character, it would be like, oh, Michael's only played this game for 2 hours. And I'm looking at it and going, no, that's not true. And I know that this is not accurate either, because I'm pretty sure over 1,300 hours sunk into this game at this point. Loved every minute of it. Even the boring parts, even running around collecting things. And I've really enjoyed this game. This is the game for me. I will always be playing this game. Let's jump over to one of my favorite areas. This was where I started, and I really like this place. They've unlocked, this game is beautiful as well. I've taken some fantastic screenshots in here. Just so much fun. One of the things that happened while I was playing this game, and this is getting into what I really can't fully describe, but I'll do my best. One of the DLCs came out, and up until that point, as I've been playing this game, it's like an MMO, and I played MMOs a very specific way. I didn't care about the story. It's an MMO. So I would just skip through as much as I could, as fast as I could. And I did the same thing in here, besides the main story. The main story was the exception. I was like, this is really good. And then I went and did a side one, and I may have just been doing a quest I didn't care about. It was probably more my mental attitude of just, this is kind of a background game. Play it, enjoy it. You're mostly there for the combat. You're not there for the story. But you should be there for the story. The stories are incredible. This game, one of their touting features is that every single NPC is fully voice acted. And it's true. And all their quest lines, like, they put a ton of work into this. It is like Elder Scrolls in that way. Let's see, we should have, this is a real player.
Welcome, friend. Don't believe my sister over at Skywatch.
Full voice act. This just happens to be the stable. I mentioned you got to max out your skill lines for the horses. Just random NPCs. Anybody in the game that goes, most MMOs don't have that because they want the game to feel very full, so they put a ton of NPCs in there, but it's also a lot of work to do that. It's an incredible amount of work to get everyone to do voice acting for this stuff. Like, the amount of actors that they have to pull in, the amount of work they have to go through, it's an insane thing. And I don't think, as far as I'm aware, many other MMOs do that, but this one has that, and it's something that they tout very heavily in that. The quest line for the Clockwork City DLC is where I started it, and I went into it and went, oh, wait, let me listen and pay attention. It was amazing. It blew me off my feet how good it was. It's one of my top favorites of this entire game throughout everything, but it changed the way I played the game. Yet once again, it was something that I had already been playing the game, and I found a new way to enjoy it, which, to be fair, I probably shouldn't have been skipping anything every way for as much as I like the game. But I was skipping all the I was just walk up to an NPC, blast through it as quick as possible. Whatever the quest marker says, go do this next, is what I was doing. I wasn't really paying attention a lot. That made me stop and go, wait, this is actually a really good story. It's really captivating and compelling. I like it. Ever since then, I have been doing the stories that way. When I play the game, I play it solo. I'm not trying to play with other people, because when you play with other people, everybody reads at a different speed or listens. Not everybody wants to listen to the full thing. But when I'm playing it by myself, and that's how I play all the story stuff completely isolated by myself, so I can appreciate the story. It's a really engaging, like, they put a lot of time and effort into this, and it shows. I really like all of it. They've got incredible characters. I was just playing one of the was the High Isle DLC had what's his name? Billy Boyd, Pippin from Lord of the Rings is what I know him from. A famous actor. And he does a voice in this game. I don't know if I could go find his character right now. I'm pretty sure I might be able to. If I remember correctly, he's over in High Isle. And he was in the tavern. He taught me how to play a card. They added a card game to this. This is not High Isle. That's another place. That's Somerset. Was it? High Isle is here, and I think it was in the middle of Gonfalon Bay. Yeah, they added another, yet again, something else that made me go, oh, now I really like this game. It's like they added, Hearthstone or Gwent from Witcher. Something. It's a card game like that, and I got into it for a bit. I don't remember how to play it at all now. I'll have to relearn it because I do want to collect all the cards for it. They just keep adding stuff to it, and the game grows bigger than I'm able to keep up with. So I set my goal is to, whatever the new DLC is that comes out, I go through the story, I enjoy it, I take my time, I play through that. It's great. I really enjoy doing stuff like that. I've been having a blast with that. The last few DLC that have come out, I drop everything to play the game when it launches. And it also kind of helps that they launch these games around my birthday. Like, it's during the summer of it's the middle of June, or somewhere around there, and they launch a new DLC, and I go, yep, it's about time to get back into it, isn't it? Yep, there's the icon there. Let's see if I can. That would be south of here, so I can head south. Let me see if I can find him real quick, because that was a really cool, like, I don't think I knew he was in the game, and I start this quest, and I talk to him, and I go, that sounds really familiar. This guy's accent is really familiar. And then I look it up, and then I start texting one of my sisters who's really into Lord of the Rings, going, you got to play this game. You got to come play, Pippin is teaching you how to play a card game. Let's see. It's over here, isn't it? I think, if I remember correctly, the gaming hall. I could be misremembering, but I think that's what it is. Let's see. I don't remember his character name. I do try to do some research beforehand and learn as much as I can. I don't think it's a master.
I have it on good authority.
No, it wasn't you. Well, I could be in the wrong place. I could be missing him entirely. I don't remember. But anyway, there's a character in this game. I'm sure I'll find him at some point and come back around. I thought he may have been in here because I feel like I remember him being in here. But he's got like a pretty important quest line, like, for this entire area. It's not just he's a random NPC that you talk to so that you can learn how to play this game. Like, there's a whole storyline going along. It's fantastic. That's what I can say. I really enjoy playing this game. The best way I can sum it up, and I should, because at least for the recording time, it's been almost an hour. I don't know how much will get cut, probably most of it. The best way I can describe it, what I kept coming back to over and over as I was writing my notes, trying to figure out how I could explain why this game matters so much to me. When I was a kid and I started playing games, it unlocked a new part of my brain, maybe? It was an experience unlike anything else. The escapism part of it. And discovering a new game and discovering what you can do in a new game as you play through it. It was unlike anything else. And I latched onto that and went, this is why I like video games. And then after a few years of playing video games, I'm an adult, things start going on, I lose that. It dulls. Elder Scrolls Online brought that back. That feeling of wonder of what I can do in this game, and how much and how big it is, and how much there is to explore, and captivating stories that make me stop what I'm doing and just give all of my attention. It's that sucked in, never want to stop playing. I'm gonna boot it up, I'm gonna play it for a little bit. Oh, what time is it? It's been 12 hours and I haven't stopped. I haven't had that since I was a kid. this game brought it back, and I continue to be impressed with what they do and happy about everything as I play through the game, experiencing the storylines, meeting characters. And I mostly play solo, but I also have been able to experience this with friends of mine that I get into the game. To be fair, no one lasts as long as I do, and that's fair. I understand there's new games, there's all this stuff. Most people don't want to sink time into it, and a lot of people who I know in my personal life who play video games play them and expect them to end so they can play a different game. They don't want to have an ongoing forever relationship with a game, and that's what an MMO is. It is designed so that you always are playing it, and I am always playing it. I'm taking a break right now, and I'll get back into it soon. And to be honest with you, I'm probably going to get back into it when I buy a new controller, because I got to have the paddles. I can't play it any other way. I've tried playing it, and it feels wrong. When I was touching this game, looking at this game and playing it, interacting with this world, and not having the paddles, I can't do it. It doesn't feel right. It feels like something's off, like I'm walking with 2 left feet. I've got shoes on that are the wrong size. I'm trying to eat with my left hand when I'm right-handed. You know, the spoon feels weird. I don't know how many metaphors I need here. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just different. There are things that I still have yet to accomplish in this game. I have a lot of titles. There is one in particular, and I don't know where it is on this list, but there is a thing I thought I would go through and do it to kind of show off a little bit, because I've put so much time. The Maelstrom Arena Champion. The Maelstrom is a section of game that has to be played solo. It is a series of fights that are incredibly difficult. I probably took a month to beat it. When I got to a max level, I had the ability to do it. This was before I learned spell weaving, or maybe after. But in order to beat that Maelstrom, it took me a lot of time. And you can start, like, it's waves. You go into, I think it's 10 rounds, and each round has 3 or 5 waves in it. And you can start a round over if you die, but you can't start on the same wave. So if you get to wave, it's something like that. I don't remember the exact details. It's been a while since I've done it. But anyway, it took me like a month to get through, and I finally beat it. I'm so proud. I get the title. I have all this stuff, and it's how you unlock certain weapons. Like, the weapons that I am using are from the... that's an Inferno Staff, but my main hand backup is the Maelstrom's Inferno Staff. The Maelstrom is tough. There's a veteran, which means that there's an even tougher one. I am yet to beat that. I'm close. I've gotten so close to it. I can't do it yet. I'm just not there. I got to get back into it. I got to get really, really succinct into what it's going to take to get all the way through it, up my skills, and really pay attention and give it a lot. And it's going to be, it's an ordeal to go through, but it's an accomplishment to have it done. And in the last video, if I can beat Dark Souls, I can go through this, I'm sure. It's just going to take some time and practice and learning the mechanics of it. I got to dust it off, but I will do it one day. I'm never going to stop playing this game. This is the game that I play the most, by far, of any other game collectively. Even the hundreds of hours I put into certain ones. We've talked about, like, Path of Exile being 600 hours. I've probably put that much into Dark Souls as well. This one is by far and away the most tracked game. I'll put it up on the screen. I probably have done it already, and I'll probably do it again to show you that, because I'm really proud of not just putting time into a game, but also where I get to. It's almost, for a while there was kind of a 1-to-1. I would gain about a level an hour, or I would keep it, around that. So you'd think I'd have 1,100 hours in this, but it's a bit more than that. I'm pretty sure it's around 1,300 last time I checked. Amazing. It is an incredible game, and rather than say too much like I've already clearly done, maybe we'll just try to leave it at too little, somewhere in the middle, and say I like a lot of things. This game is one that I love.